Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Jai. So today I want to talk about a verse by Srila Rupa Goswami in a collection of verses written by him called Sri Upadesh Amrita. And Upadesh means instruction, and Amrita means nectar. So this is a collection of verses, about 12 verses, which is titled The Nectar of Instruction. And so these verses are very valuable teachings and advice that the spiritual practitioner can follow to make progress on the path of bhakti and develop his love for Krishna, love for God. And so I'll go over the first verse, and specifically the first part of the first verse, and briefly touch on some things that Srila Gurudev has said about these verses. So the first verse is Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jiva vegam udara upashta vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira sardvam abhimam prithivim sashishat. Which means that person who can control the urges of the tongue. So this verse describes 6 urges that everyone has, which are very difficult to control. And these urges are the urge to speak, and manasa vega. Vega means urge. The urge of the mind, the manasa. And krodha vega, the onset of anger. And jiva vega, the urge of the tongue to taste very nice, palatable foodstuffs, or meat eating, and all these things. And udara vega, the urge of the belly to overeat. And lastly, upashta vega, the urge of the genitals to enjoy illicit sex life and all these things. But this verse says that one who can control all of these urges is qualified to make the whole world sarvam apimam prithivim. Prithivi means the earth. So the whole earth is the disciple. Shishya. Shishya means disciple. It means he can instruct the whole world. So that's a very powerful statement that Rupa Goswami is making, and that these are very difficult to control. Srila Gurudev would say that that it's very, very, very difficult to control lust and anger, and that he would speak about Ravan, a great demon that he was so powerful and he was had so much knowledge, but he still couldn't control his lust or his anger, and therefore he was killed by the Lord. And so this is the greatest, most difficult thing to do, is to control these. Krishna in the Gita, he says that lust is the greatest enemy of the living entities in this world. It is so dangerous. This desire to enjoy the objects of the senses. And so the first urge in this verse is vachavega, the urge to speak. Srila Gurudev would say that the tongue has no backbone, it has no bone. It's completely uncontrolled and can just go anywhere and say anything and do anything. And so it's very difficult to control the tongue. It's always saying something. It always has an urge to speak something. And Srila Gurudev would say, if you cannot control your tongue, then you will always quarrel. And I think that you will spend your whole life quarreling. Because he would say that the uncontrolled tongue was the cause of the entire Mahabharata war and also the entire Ramayana, which were very, very, very great wars. These were, and in which millions and millions of people died. This was only caused by the uncontrolled tongue. So how powerful is this tongue? And Gurudev would say that when Duryodhana, the evil brother of the Pandavas, the son of Dhritarashtra, which is a very long story I won't get into at the moment, but Duryodhana was causing so much trouble for the Pandavas, doing so many terrible things, trying to kill them in so many different ways. And he was so greedy for the kingdom, he wouldn't even give the Pandavas any land. Krishna himself came to Duryodhana and was begging him to please give the Pandavas, each of them, just one village out of the whole world, the whole kingdom, so that they could manage something and they were the Kshatriya class, so they had to be the administrators of something. But Duryodhana said, I will not give them enough land to put even the head of a pin on. And so he was so blinded by his lust and his greed and his envy and his pride and so many other material bad qualities. And Duryodhana even cheated in a gambling match and took everything away from the Pandavas, even took Draupadi and exiled them to the forest. And they even tried to disrobe Draupadi and make her naked in the assembly. And so Draupadi, not being able to control her tongue, she said to Duryodhana, blind father, blind son. Your father is blind and you are also blind. And he wasn't actually blind, Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra was actually blind. But she was saying that because you are so blinded by this material, so many material desires. You are blind to what you're doing. You're offending these great devotees, and you don't understand that all of this material stuff is temporary and meaningless, and you're doing so many terrible things which you'll get such terrible reactions for, and so you are also blind. And this made Duryodhana even more and more angry, and he took a vow to kill Draupadi, to kill the Pandavas, to take the kingdom, and therefore the Mahabharata war happened, and millions and millions of people died, only because Draupadi could not control her tongue. This is what Srila Gurudev is saying. And also the Ramayana. Sita Devi, when they had been exiled to the forest, Ram, Lakshman, and Sita, they were in the forest, and anyhow Ravan had sent some sage, Marichi, to distract them so that he could kidnap Sita and so many things. And Ram had a deer had come by, a golden deer, and Sita wanted it, and Ram went to go find it, and anyhow she started to abuse Lakshman, because in the distance she could hear that Ram was calling out for help. Even though this was the sage actually speaking in Ram's voice, it wasn't actually Ram. She had thought that it was Ram, and Lakshman was not going. He was saying, Ram, he never needs help. He's the Supreme Lord. Why, he's never in trouble like this. Something is off. I will not leave you alone here. I've taken a vow to protect you, and I won't leave you. But Sita, she started abusing and criticizing Lakshman, and saying, oh, this was your plan all along. You wanted to make sure and arrange that Ram would die, and that you could enjoy me as your wife and have me to yourself, and so many other abuses. And this was very, very hurtful to Lakshman. He had taken a vow that he had never even looked at Sita's face. He'd only ever looked at her feet his whole life. He had no lust, no anything for Sita. And this hurt him very, very much, hearing these words. And so anyhow, he left and went to see what was happening with Ram. Ram had defeated this golden deer, who was actually a demon in disguise. And during that time, Ravan had come in the disguise of a Brahmana, and so many things happened. Anyhow, he stole Sita away, brought her to Lanka, and therefore the Ramayana war happened. So much trouble, and so many people dying, all because of this uncontrolled tongue. So Gurudev would give these two examples that we should never criticize. He would say, everywhere he went, he would say, don't criticize. This urge to speak is very uncontrolled. Gurudev would say, even in joking, we shouldn't joke, because we may make some offense, and this will be a very great obstacle in our spiritual life if we are making offenses and criticizing and fault finding here and there. Krishna will not be happy with this behavior. And then, like Gurudev said, if you cannot control your tongue, then you will always fight. And I think you will spend your whole life fighting, because the tongue just wants to say things. And it is very, very, very easy in Kali Yuga to find faults. And this is a very large topic, but I'll very briefly explain that in the life cycle of the universe, there are 4 ages, and the first age, right after the universe is created, is Satya Yuga. And the whole yuga cycle of the 4 yugas, I'm not exactly sure, maybe it's like 4 billion years, 320 million years or something like that. And Satya Yuga lasts like 2 billion years, something like this. Then there's Treta Yuga, the 3rd yuga, which lasts a little bit, like about half of that time. And then there's Dwapara Yuga, which is again cut in half, that amount of time, 500 something years. And then Kali Yuga. And at the end of Kali Yuga, the universe is destroyed, and then the universe is again created, and another 4 cycles goes. And so like this, the universe is constantly being created and destroyed. And Srila Gurudev, he would describe that at the very beginning of Satya Yuga, Satya means truth, the mode of goodness is prominent. And so the entire material world is composed of 3 modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And everything in this world is composed of a mix of these 3 modes. And in some things, the mode of goodness is prominent, some things the mode of passion is prominent, some things the mode of ignorance is prominent. And so every foodstuff, every plant, every person, everything is a mixture of these 3. And the mode of ignorance is, the symptoms of the mode of ignorance is so much anger and so much lust and so much, demoniac mentalities and anger and greed and pride and envy, so many of these bad qualities. And passion is characterized by lust and also anger and so many things. And the mode of goodness, if someone is in the mode of goodness primarily, then he's very peaceful and he speaks the truth and he is very humble and very calm and very kind and compassionate and very tolerant, like this. And so these are the 3 modes of material nature. And so if also foodstuffs are characterized into these modes. So if someone is eating a lot of meat and also food that is very rotten and expired and all these things, then they will be influenced by this mode of ignorance, because killing things and eating their meat and eating old things, this is like very ignorant behavior. Passion, it's like very spicy things and very sour and astringent things and like this. They will be influenced by the mode of passion. Foods in the mode of goodness is like milk and fruits and vegetables and dairy and things like this, grains. Then the mode of goodness will be prominent. And so Gurudev would say that about this Chatur Yuga, these 4 yugas, is that at the very beginning of Satya Yuga, the mode of goodness is prominent. And everybody is very peaceful. There's no violence, there's no quarreling, there's hardly any demoniac tendency like this. Everyone is meditating, everyone is very kind to each other. There's no problems. And there's so many other qualities. The lifespan is like hundreds of thousands of years. And people can just sit in meditation without any problem. The life air is even within their bones, so they don't even need to eat hardly, or drink, or even breathe necessarily. But as in this material world, everything is degrading. And so ultimately this universe will die, and we find in this world that anything that's created, eventually it crumbles into being destroyed. And so as Treta Yuga comes, Gurudev would say that the mode of ignorance becomes more prominent, and the mode of goodness goes down. There's 2 categories of people. Those are demons and demigods. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's described like this. There's suras and asuras. Sura means like godly, and asura means against godly or demoniac. And as time goes on, this like ignorance, like death, like demoniac qualities is increasing, goodness is going down, and there's more and more demons as time goes on. Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. So now in Kali Yuga, this is actually the most degraded and ignorant age. We can understand that just by looking around. Mostly everybody is a demon, more or less. And Kali means the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Everyone is all around us. There's so much violence, there's so much meat eating, there's so much illicit sex, there's so much intoxication, and so much hypocrisy in our government, and so many things. Religion has practically almost disappeared from the world, and it's just nothing but sense gratification and violence and so many terrible things. And at the end of this age is when the universe is destroyed, and because it just gets so bad that we just have to start over, start from scratch. And so I'm going to finish up here in a minute. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam that says, this is at the very end of the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan asti heko mahaguna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha parambrajet. That this age of Kali is a veritable ocean of faults. Still, it has one most exalted attribute, that one who simply performs kirtan of Sri Krishna's names, form, qualities, and pastimes, especially by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, can certainly become liberated from material bondage and receive entrance to the highest destination, the transcendental realm of Vraj. So, if we look around in Kali Yuga, it is very easy to find faults. In the Bhagavatam it's described that everyone is lazy, everyone has no intelligence, everyone is always very disturbed. Our lifespan is very, 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 very short. And so there's different religious processes for each age. In Satya Yuga, the religious process to achieve perfection was Meditation. People could sit in meditation very easily for thousands and thousands of years, meditate on God with no problem. Their mind was very sharp. No distractions, nothing like this. Then in Treta Yuga, the process to achieve liberation and deliverance from this material world was fire sacrifices, yagyas. So people, they would perform very elaborate yagyas with so much paraphernalia that would take so much time, and very qualified brahmanas would chant all these very difficult mantras. Then in Dwapara Yuga, the process of religion was deity worship. People would again perform very nice deity worship, offering so much pure paraphernalia. But the process of religion in Kali Yuga, the age that we're in now, it's been maybe about 5,000 or so years. We're in Kali Yuga. It lasts about 400 something thousand years. Is the process of religion is Harinam Sankirtan, chanting the holy name. Because again, in this age, there's no pure ingredients with which to do anything. Our mind, Gurudev said, if you will try to meditate, you will hear any sound and you will at once become distracted. And in Kali Yuga, the pran, the life air, is in food. We constantly have to eat food. We constantly have to go here and there and do so many things. Our life is very, very short. And we could die at any moment. And we're always disturbed. So meditation is not possible. Gurudev said one day, he said in Kali Yuga, worshipping the deity is not so helpful. Many times he said like this. He said one day you will have to give up deity worship, because eventually it will degrade so much. He said, well, what will you do when someone comes and steals your deities? Then how will you achieve perfection? So I'm going to end really quickly here. And we cannot do yagyas. We need so much time and so much paraphernalia, and there's no qualified brahmanas to do yagya. So the only way, there's no other way than constantly chanting about Krishna, chanting his name, chanting his glories. And very easily, at once, we can become liberated. We see this in histories like Ajamil that we can explain at a later time. And it's such an easy process. Gurudev said, you don't have to spend any money to chant the holy name. You don't have to be qualified in any way. You don't have to have any kind of intelligence. You simply chant out the Lord's name with love and affection, and you can be delivered from this material world. So this is the very easy process to control the tongue, because you need to give it some engagement. It has to be, you can't just stop speaking. So we give it some good engagement by having it talk about the Lord. And Gurudev would say, why don't we criticize? Well, we always say, don't criticize others, don't criticize. But what is the reason? It's because it will waste our valuable time. Then if we're criticizing, how are we speaking about Krishna? How are we remembering Krishna? We're always seeing so many faults. So instead of seeing all the faults of this world and criticizing it, which we could spend our entire lives doing, because it is an ocean of faults. Everything is wrong in this Kali Yuga. Everyone is full of faults. But we try not to see those faults, and we simply chant the holy name and remember Krishna, and then we can control this urge to speak. And because Gurudev said, if you will slap somebody, then they will also slap you. They will retaliate. If you will abuse somebody, they will abuse you. And like Gurudev said, you will spend your whole life quarreling. So we focus on Krishna, and then we can become liberated from this material world and achieve this highest destination, the transcendental realm of eternal love and affection, Sri Vrindavan Dham, and serve him there with love and affection. And Gurudev would say, drown in that ocean of pure love and affection and be happy forever. Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 Gaur Radhe Radhe.